okay? So the computers are all calibrated, it's ready to go. For me, the challenge always is, how do I get into this conversation about safety? Because for me personally, I've never purchased a car based on how safe it is, right? For me, safety means a roll cage and a fire extinguisher system. So I don't buy cars based on how safe they are. So I've always struggled with, how do I get into that conversation about the hardware and the radar and what it does. These new cars have made it easy for me, because with the active cruise control as well as low speed follow, I can start the conversation by just doing that. So what I've done is turn the cruise control on, and I can take my foot off the brake and just sit here. We're set. The cruise is ready to go. It says that we're stopped. So all I have to do is hit the resume and away we go, right? So now I've got kind of a fun way to get into the conversation about the hardware that they can't see. And here's the thing that's critical about understanding that system. If you spent $130,000 2 years ago and bought a brand new S-Class or a BMW 7 Series or an LS from Lexus, you don't have low speed follow, right? So we've got a way to just very gracefully turn on the system, show that with resume, I'm back to being on cruise control. The system works because of the radar, and now you can start talking about the radar and how it can be used for collision mitigation. So I'm going to run at the target. The radar sees it right now, but it's not giving me a warning because there's no peril. It's looking at that target. It knows how far away it is, but it's looking at my speed and going, oh, there's no problem here, okay? As I get closer to it, when it thinks that there could be a problem, what's the first thing it does to notify me? You get the red flashing lights up here in the head-up warning system, and you also get the audible beep, 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 right? If I ignore that for about a half second, then I get the orange brake, brake, brake here. Now, our previous generation system, the seat belts would tighten. They don't do that anymore. This is the next generation of seat belts. The retractors, I think, are a lot faster, so they don't have to pre-tension. It's going to be able to pull all the slack out. I'm still not going to make it to the steering wheel if there is a collision. Does that make sense? Yeah. So don't tell the customers that the seat belts tighten, because they don't anymore, right? So, red lights, audible tone, orange lights, and then it's going to stop. I'm only going to do between 10 and 15 miles an hour, and let's see if the system works. So I'm going to drive right at the target. There's 12, 13 miles an hour. I'm just coasting, and hopefully you hear the ABS.
Wow. Yeah.
Then it got quiet, and I had to stop the car. Why?
In case something happened.
You have to think about the theory behind the system. Remember, it's a driver aid, not a replacement.
Right.
So it helps me avoid this accident, and then it goes, here are the keys back. If it had set the brake on it, if it had made that kind of decision for me, it's now replacing me. So it doesn't set the brake. It uses the ABS system to stop the car, and as soon as the car is stopped, it gives me about 2 seconds to recoup, and if I mess my pants or whatever, and then it hands me the keys back, and it says, all right, you're back in control, and it releases the brakes. Now, if I've passed out, I had a seizure, I'm going to roll into that object, but I'm going to do it at 2 miles an hour, right? Because all it does is release the brakes. There's no throttle at that point. So does that kind of help explain the system? Mm-hmm. Right? Yes. Now you've kind of seen the whole process, and maybe even using the adaptive cruise control, you've actually seen a way where you can kind of gracefully get into the process. What I'm going to do here is turn this car around, because I want to get everybody together. We're going to get a nice group shot here. Perfect. That's